Hello and welcome to episode 16 of Learn English with Photos. My name is Jeffrey Hill and I'm going to be using some photos I've taken to help you improve your English vocabulary and practice your speaking skills. In October 2013, I spent a day in London with a small group of French students from the EM Normandy, where I teach English. We hadn't planned to go on the London Eye, which is a giant Ferris wheel on the south bank of the River Thames, but we passed right in front of it on our way from Waterloo Station to the Houses of Parliament. As it was a bright sunny morning and there were hardly any queues, we decided to take advantage of this golden opportunity. The London Eye, also known as the Millennium Wheel, was officially opened by the then Prime Minister Tony Blair on the 31st of December 1999, although it was not open to the public until the 9th of March 2000 because of technical problems. The entire structure is 135 metres or 443 feet tall, and the wheel has a diameter of 120 metres, that's 394 feet. It's currently Europe's tallest Ferris wheel and the most popular paid tourist attraction in the United Kingdom, with over 3.5 million visitors annually. The Eye is described by its operators as the world's tallest cantilevered observation wheel. It used to offer the highest public viewing point in London until it was superseded by the 245-metre observation deck on the 72nd floor of the Shard skyscraper, which opened to the public on the 1st of February 2013. The wheel has 32 sealed and air-conditioned passenger capsules, which are attached to the external circumference of the wheel and rotated by electric motors. Each of the 10-ton capsules holds up to 25 people who are free to walk around inside the capsule, though seating is provided. The wheel rotates at 26 centimetres or 10 inches per second, so that one revolution takes about 30 minutes. It doesn't usually stop to take on passengers, since the rotation rate is slow enough to allow passengers to walk on and off the moving capsules at ground level. It is, however, stopped to allow disabled or elderly passengers time to embark and disembark safely. When we went on the Eye, an adult ticket cost £19.20, and if you purchased a fast-track ticket to beat the queues, it was an extra £10, so it's not exactly cheap. However, I can honestly say that going on the London Eye was the highlight of our day out in London, especially as it started raining just after we got off. The views of London and the surrounding area are spectacular, and although I'm normally quite nervous when it comes to heights, the fact of being totally enclosed, unlike when you're on a fairground Ferris wheel, makes for a very reassuring experience. Now let's take a bird's eye view of the sights of London. First up is Big Ben and the Houses of Parliament. By the way, did you know that Big Ben is actually the nickname of the great bell of the clock at the top of the tower? The official name of the tower is the Elizabeth Tower, named in tribute to Queen Elizabeth II in her Diamond Jubilee year. Most people still call it Big Ben though. The river is of course the Thames, which is the longest river in England and flows through the centre of London. This is Westminster Bridge, being crossed by 3 double-decker buses. If you look closely, you can see a black taxi cab too. Buckingham Palace is one of London's most famous tourist attractions. If the Union flag flies above Buckingham Palace, it signals that the Queen is not in residence. She must have heard we were coming. This modern-looking building is in fact Charing Cross Station. Behind it you can see the BT Tower, another famous London landmark, which was built in the 60s. The London skyline is constantly changing. Just look at all the cranes in this view looking towards the city. Historic monuments such as St Paul's Cathedral are now having to compete with a whole galaxy of new office buildings with strange nicknames. This one is known as the Walkie-Talkie due to its unusual shape. Another iconic skyscraper is the Shard, which resembles a shard or jagged piece of glass. And the Cheese Grater is so named because it looks like a cheese grater. I would gladly have gone round one more time, but we had to get off when we reached the bottom. Still, it was a fantastic experience and I really recommend it to anyone who visits London. Now let's go over some of the vocabulary you've heard in the first part of the lesson. I'll say each word twice and you can repeat it after me if you like. I'll also make a few comments along the way. The first word is bank. Bank. The bank is the side of a river or canal and the land near it. Of course, a bank is also a place where you keep your money. When words have the same spelling and pronunciation but different meanings, they are known as homonyms. Bell. Bell. A bell is a hollow metal object that makes a ringing sound when you hit it. There are many different types of bell, from church bells to bicycle bells. Bird's eye view. Bird's eye view. A bird's eye view is a view of something from high above it. Cab. Cab. Cab is another word for taxi. London is famous for its black cabs and New York for its yellow ones. Clock. Clock. A clock is a device for measuring and showing time. Some churches have clocks on their towers. You probably have a clock on your wall. Crane. Crane. A crane is a tall machine with a long arm used for lifting and moving building materials or heavy objects. Diameter. Diameter. The diameter is the straight line that crosses a circle through the center. Double-decker bus. Double-decker bus. A double-decker bus, also known as a double-decker, is a bus with 2 floors. London is famous for its red double-decker buses, though many have been replaced by single-decker buses. Ferris wheel. Ferris wheel. A Ferris wheel is a big wheel which people can ride on. They're often found at fairgrounds. Foot. Foot. A foot is a unit of measurement equivalent to 30.48 centimeters. A Subway sandwich measures 1 foot. There are 12 inches in a foot. Landmark. Landmark. A landmark is something such as a building you can see from a distance and helps you know where you are. The Eiffel Tower is Paris's most famous landmark. Passenger. Passenger. A passenger is someone who is travelling in a bus, car, plane, train, boat, etc. Queue. Queue. A queue is a line of people who are waiting for something. In American English, they actually say line instead of queue. Rotate. Rotate. If something rotates, it moves around a fixed central point. The Earth rotates on its axis, for example. Skyline. Skyline. The skyline is the outline of buildings or natural features seen against the sky. London's skyline has been transformed in recent years. Skyscraper. Skyscraper. A skyscraper is a very tall building in a city. New York is famous for its skyscrapers. Union flag. Union flag. The Union flag, also known as the Union Jack, is the national flag of the United Kingdom. In fact, it's made up of 3 crosses representing England, Scotland and Ireland. I'm not sure what happened to Wales. View. View. A view is what you can see from a particular place. You get a fantastic view of London from the top of the London Eye. Right, that's enough vocabulary. Let's move on to the final part of the lesson, where you get to do some speaking. I'm going to ask you a series of questions relating to the topic of this lesson. I suggest you pause the video to give yourself time to answer. And don't just reply with yes or no. Try to make your answers as detailed as possible. Okay, let's begin. Question 1. Have you ever been to London? If so, when did you go and what did you do there? Question 2. Imagine you had one day in London. How would you spend it? Question 3. What other famous places do you know in London? Question 4. Would you like to go on the London Eye? If so, why? If not, why not? Question 5. What do you think about the new buildings such as the Shard, which are transforming the London skyline? Question 6. Why do you think London is so popular with tourists? Question 7. What's your favourite city and why? And question 8. If you could visit any city in the world, which one would it be and why? Well, that's the end of this lesson. I hope you found it useful, and I look forward to working with you again on another episode of Learn English with Photos.